Dual fuel is when you take a heat pump and install it with a furnace and an indoor coil. So you have essentially two sources of fuel, electric heat pump and gas. You've got the GREE outdoor heat pump matched with an indoor gas furnace. The idea is to take advantage of the efficiency of the heat pump as it handles nearly all of your comfort needs, especially a GREE one, because they can heat down to -22 in all 4 seasons, with the option to automatically switch over to an alternative heating source, being the gas furnace during times of extreme or sustained cold.
I'm James McIntyre, Senior Director of Commercial Sales, and with me today is Daniel Hamrick.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And JD.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
I hope you guys are enjoying the day so far. We're wrapping it up for the end of the year. Been a long, but I think overall good year. I'm glad you're here, and if you're on the job right now and have a question, please call the tech line. Otherwise, submit questions anytime using the question mark icon to the right of the screen. We'll be checking out throughout the show. We do have a packed show again today for you. We're going to cover a few dual fuel misconceptions that can cost contractors time and homeowners comfort. We'll be looking at a video that I think you'll find very interesting, as if you think you might have an EEV failure, or either electronic or mechanical. We'll show you a handy tool that can help you uncover the truth as to whether or not you have a failed EEV or some other kind of issue. We'll also talk about landing bigger jobs and expand your offering and your existing expertise, getting you familiar with the GMV R32 Ultra. And then we're going to, let's see, the results are in. It's time to finally reveal the winner of our Draw Me Service Tool contest. Oh, okay. All right. So if you're a person watching this in the future on a recording, there are links in the description so you can choose your own adventure and jump straight to your segment of choice. All right, so let's start talking comfort. So the first thing we're going to talk about is dual fuel. Last month we talked about dual fuel with Kevin from RHI Supply in the upper, very cold Midwest. They are absolutely positively believers in the GREE dual fuel systems. Daniel, can you give us a quick or a simple overview of what dual fuel is?
Well, of course. So basically, dual fuel is when you take a heat pump and install it with a furnace and an indoor coil. So you have essentially two sources of fuel, electric heat pump and gas or whatever. So you've got the GREE outdoor heat pump matched with an indoor gas furnace. The idea is to take advantage of the efficiency of the heat pump as it handles nearly all of your comfort needs, especially a GREE one, because they can heat down to -22 in all 4 seasons, with the option to automatically switch over to an alternative heating source, being the gas furnace during times of extreme or sustained cold. And a lot of that has to do with balance point, which we'll talk about a little later. So, James?
Right, but overall it does sound really simple, and it is. But there are some misconceptions out there, and we know this. Why? Because our handy dandy misnometer tells us so. So what are we reading on the misnometer? In dual fuel systems, in dual fuel, both systems run simultaneously all the time.
Well, that's what we want, right?
No, not at all.
No, not at all.
Killing your efficiency big time by doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's a scenario. Imagine it's a January morning in the Midwest and your heat pump's running efficiently, pulling heat from the cold air. This happens without the furnace contributing to the heat. The blower is distributing the conditioned air into the home. Then a deep freeze hits that evening and temperatures drop into the single digits for several days. The system automatically switches to the gas furnace to keep the home warm in this situation, since the heat pump would no longer be as efficient as the furnace. You stay comfortable the whole time, and you never have to touch a thing, but you automatically get the benefits of the system's high efficiency. Right?
Yep.
And yeah, I think Daniel has a really great point as far as the balance point. This also extends the amount of time that you'll be able to use a heat pump. So if it's more efficient from an energy usage standpoint to use a heat pump, you can use that longer throughout the year. And if it's more efficient to or cheaper to use the gas furnace, you can use the gas furnace. But it gives you that a true dual fuel system. It's not only being able to use it for a very short, limited, a very limited amount of time during shoulder seasons, like you would out of most normal non-ultra heat pumps.
Right.
We do have another thing on the misnomer. Any thermostat can control a dual fuel system. No, despite many best efforts. Hey, JD, you're in tech support. How often do you get asked the question like, hey, does this thermostat work? Or how do I wire that thermostat? Or how do I use this thermostat or make this thermostat work? Or,
On a daily basis.
daily basis. Okay.
On a daily basis, yes, sir.
Right. So, I mean, whether or not you use one that's designed by a search engine company or, someone who's been making thermostats for the last 100 years.
A search engine company.
Well, I'm just saying.
That's pretty good.
Regardless of which thermostat you use, there is a way to use most of those thermostats. But you're absolutely right. You need, for any of us that's done this long enough. I remember a product they used to call it a Bill Porter board, and I know that Greg would be able to help out a little bit more on that. But
okay, so
dual fuel systems. Go ahead.
Before you go past the Bill Porter board.
All right, let's talk about
which was awesome.
Right.
So there was a short period of time, about 10 years, that I didn't do heating and air full time. And so when I got back into working with the air conditioning products, heat pumps, and started working for GREE, it took until 2019 when they came out with the FLEXX before I realized that you didn't need a dual fuel board anymore. It was built into the thermostat.
I'll be honest with you, I had the same experience. I was at the last company I was at. That's been, over, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago or something. And I actually called one of the tech support guys. Been there a long time. I believe he's still there. JD knows him as well. But I said, hey man, hey bud, like how does dual fuel handled now? Like I have no idea. I was also out of the out of that side over for quite some time, and same thing, and I said, like last time I was doing it, we were using the Bill Porter board. He's like, my goodness, it has been a long time since you did this. But yeah, now it's handled by the thermostats, and I mean, there's all kinds of fancy options. Like, they do have the options that keep up with like how much gas is and how much electricity is, and make a determination of what would be more efficient.
Yeah, exactly.
They can take care of itself.
It's a lot smarter than it used to be, so you don't have to actually do all the math involved in the balance point.
Right. I know someone right now, it dropped down to the ultra chilly below 32 degrees the other night here in Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I know somebody who has a multi-pro dual fuel system, and his furnace has yet to come on this year, which I'm pretty happy with. But they did recommend cycling the furnace like maybe once a year to get get all the dust off of it and all that. Leave the windows open and all that. Like
Makes good sense.
Yeah.
That way it doesn't set up the smoke alarms if you do it, every 5 years.
Right. So it does seem to be, maybe JD, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like most of the smarter thermostats that people are using, like as far as popular options, are capable of doing dual fuel.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of them even come with a sensor that you can run to the outdoor, and you can set it at a certain temperature for the outdoor unit, or you can set it to be a differential. If the unit's not keeping up, then your dual fuel kicks in, or there's a lot of different options.
Right.
What's the industry standard been that way for 30 years? Let's just go with 30 years. Balance point, shut the heat pump off and you're done temperature.
I mean, it used to be 30 degrees, but
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not that way anymore.
No. No, when I was in the field, it was definitely 30 degrees. That's where we shut them off at. Sometimes 35 or 40, just because they weren't even being efficient at that point.
Yeah. I remember it being like 38 degrees because, obviously no heat pump back in the day could really do a whole lot below that. And now we're going all the way down to negative 22, and we're still keeping up with, producing heat, which is pretty amazing.
Came a
Well,
long,
and
long way.
unfortunately, back in the day, still today, for the reality for actually, I would still say most heat pumps out there, you're still losing upwards of 25% of your capacity at 36 degrees. So from
Good point.
47 to 36, just in a 9 degree, spread,
Yeah.
you can lose up to a quarter of your capacity. And, obviously the greater temperature difference, the higher the rate of heat transfer. So the insulation and windows and doors and all that, the colder it gets, the more heat you're going to need. And unfortunately, if you start losing that much capacity and that at 36 degrees, well, that's when you need it the most.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
not working as good either. So like you're going the opposite direction, But yeah, if anybody that's got a heat pump, I mean, it obviously offer the best solution that you have in mind, for the homeowner. Let them make an informed decision, but at the same time, maybe they can just extend the amount of time they could run that much more efficient heat pump, much more efficient than electric heat. If you want to talk certain temperatures and certain gas prices and all that, there may be some argument there. But
Yeah,
as far as
it
electric
depends.
heat, nah, there's no temperature in which electric heat's cheaper than a heat pump, or at least an ultra heat pump. We do have another misnomer, and then after this one, we'll get to some questions. Just as a reminder, the question mark icon to the right of the screen enables you to make this episode much better instead of just hearing us talk the entire time. The next on the misnomer, any A-coil already installed atop the furnace will work with dual fuel, or will work for dual fuel. I believe that is a misnomer, right?
Certainly.
So only A-coils with the proper metering device can work with a heat pump in a dual fuel scenario. For GREE systems, with our A-coil, it's an electronic expansion valve. If you're using the wrong metering device, the heat pump won't operate correctly in heating or cooling mode. You'll likely experience poor performance, high head pressure, or other system faults. So, if you had a non-bleed, what was that again on the TXVs? It's been a while since I talked TXVs.
Yeah, bleed or bypass, yeah.
Yeah, you got to have that. I mean, you need a heat pump coil. And I believe on third-party coils, we used to have a recommendation that was, like a higher efficiency coil, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now with A2L,
You got to have a refrigerant sensor.
Got to have the refrigerant sensor. That's got to be wired in and all that, right? So you can't just use, anything. You might be able to make it work in cooling.
Anything worse than cooling.
Yeah, right. Let's see if we got any questions.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let's see. No questions so far.
All right. Well, one more reminder, question mark icon to the right of the screen. And it also reminds us that there are people out there watching.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Really,
we don't want you to just, not get to experience the live version.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, we could. I mean, everybody can record stuff. Only we do it live.
Right?
Let's see. All right, so let's transition to a few troubleshooting scenarios involving an electronic expansion valve. We've got a video real quick to run.
Hi, GREE here. I thought I'd show you something I was just messing around with down here in our lab in Atlanta. I have one of these EEV mags. This is actually a type 1. It fits our EEV bodies perfect. So I just want to show you how you can use this EEV mag to manually open or close your EEV and actually do your refrigerant flow. In order to do that, what I did was I disconnected the power cable going to the EEV, because when I pull that power head off, I don't want to put power to the EEV without it not being on the valve body of the EEV. So I unplugged that first. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a call for cooling, and you'll see on my service tool here, you have your inlet and outlet temperatures. And then we're going to wait until as soon as it calls for cooling and the EEV goes open, you'll see this number change to a higher number, meaning the EEV is open. Then I'm going to go in there and manually open the EEV and show you the inlet temperature come down, and then we'll manually close the EEV and you'll see that temperature go back up. The two red lines that you'll see on that service tool, those two units are turned off. It's not going to be perfect because I don't have any real airflow going through the air handler, But without further ado, let's go ahead and run this thing, and I'll manually open the EEV. So let me give it a call for cooling. So now that I got the unit running, you're going to see that the board in here is going to start giving an EEV call. When it's calling for cooling, there it goes. Now it's starting to open the EEV. So I'm going to go down here, pop the power head off. And it's wanting to open it. That's why it keeps jumping that EEV step up. It's not liking the fact that the EEV is not open. Now let's manually open it. See if we can get that temperature to drop. There we go. Oh, look at that, 59 degrees. Oh yeah, we definitely got refrigerant starting to flow in there because the line's starting to frost. There we go. Now we're starting to get some temperature drop. 48 degrees. Now we're gonna go back the other way. Start closing it back off. That's not gonna make the machine very happy because it's the only unit I got running. We're gonna be stopping our refrigerant flow. Yep, come back up. We're 55 now. We're definitely starving it. You can see the frost kind of there because I'm stopping the flow. So if you think you got a problem with the EEV and you want to know whether or not it's the EEV or it's just the power head, one of these little EEV mags works pretty good. This one, the Type 1, actually fits on top of that GREE EEV perfectly. With that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, at GREE, we're by your side.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, good video.
Yeah, it's a really good video. Well, if anybody else has had experience with a failed electronic expansion valve and has tried to open or close that valve or verify that it's actuating, please feel free to let us know and using the question mark icon to the right of the screen. Next, we'll let's take a look at a few questions and comments from our YouTube channel at GREE Comfort. The first one we want to cover was actually on Greg's EEV Mag video we watched just a minute ago. Let's see, it's on Stop Guessing EEV Failure, the fast way to diagnose refrigerant flow with an EEV Mag. One gentleman asked, what is the EEV Mag part number? How many type of EEV Mag are there? I do not know that. It is
Well, if you go to
Okay.
Amazon and type in EEV Mag, you can pull it up.
Okay, well, there you go. It's on Amazon.
There's 3 different types. There's 3 colors, and that's a great little tool to have in your tool bag.
Right on. Okay.
Huh.
Yeah. All right, we'll go to the next one. So it was an episode of Talking Comfort Live. Top 3 error code quick fixes, updates on FLEXX Ultra, Eco, and R32 multi-zones. Excuse me. From Marco. I'm curious with the FLEXX units when there's an old system that you're doing a change out and it has 7/8 gas line and 3/8 liquid, and it can't be replaced with 3/4. How does this affect the units? Is there any recommended steps? So JD, you being the technical FLEXX pro that you are.
Yeah, so like this is obviously this middle, shows 3/4 for a reason. What I always tell people, if it's in a ceiling or in concrete or something where you can't change it, you want to change what you can. Sometimes if older systems, especially R22, that was 5-ton unit, for example, to be 1.1/8 or 7/8 line set. Sometimes you can get a harmonic refrigerant sound going through that pipe if you don't change it. That's why we always recommend changing it. But that would be the main recommendation that I always make is replace what you can. If you can't, then just do what you can that's exposed.
Well, I have to add to that a little bit, JD, because I just I get it. We're sitting behind a computer, we're on the phone with you, our hands aren't on it, we can't see what you're doing, and it's tough out there. Crawl spaces and attics, and been there, done that. And that being said, the engineers design this stuff to work in a certain way, and we don't have any way to know what it's going to do if it's not installed the way that the manual says to install it. Now, if it were me and I was out there in the field and I had to make a judgment call, I'm probably not going to call tech support and ask. I'm just going to do what I got to do. And if there is an issue, then I know, okay, well, I know I did something a little off here. Maybe that's why. And I already know that. I don't have to call and ask anyone. So just my thoughts on it.
Well, I mean, do we have, I mean, I'm going to make an assumption here. I mean, sorry, I'm the commercial guy. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that we probably have many installed using existing line sets.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
I installed one myself.
Okay. Well,
And a lot of calls that I do get, if they did install the wrong size, they do have big performance loss. You know, hey, this isn't keeping up on 100-degree day. You know, it's because they didn't use the right size piping.
oh, right. Well, I mean, it can also be dramatically different from the piping that you would normally have, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I've seen that before.
Yeah, especially when we're talking liquid line, you know, like if you're talking about installing on something very old, or like, you know, on a commercial application where God knows what was installed before, having a very large liquid line, yeah, you can definitely see some change in performance. I mean, did they get it running like they wanted? Yes. I mean, am I going to give you recommendations on exactly what they did and all that? But you can imagine if they got a larger liquid line, maybe that requires a larger volume of refrigerant. See if you can figure it out. You know, but yeah, that's exactly what they did. But yeah, you know, we see them work like that, and just like with any other piece of equipment out there, you've got your, you know, your tested combination, your tested line set, your tested airflow, your tested everything. Well, you know, once you take it, you start taking it outside of that spec. If you go far outside of that spec, yeah, you might see a much larger difference in operation capability than what you would see if it was closer. Now, going back to electronic expansion valves, we have some guy named Daniel has a video describing the possibility of a mechanically stuck electronic expansion valve. Let's go ahead and run that video.
Doing a little troubleshooting with the EEV Mag. What I noticed was there is Loctite on these threads. Taking a look at this one in particular, there was some inside, which I scraped out and kind of blew it out a little bit just for test purposes. I put about 100 psi pressure on the outdoor unit by itself. I shut these valves off, and then I cracked this one open. I did get some pressure out of it, and cracking this is B, this is a 1/4 inch port. So I cracked this one open and nothing's happening. So decided to take the unit apart, use the EEV Mag, and adjust the EEV manually with the magnet to see if I get pressure out of either of these valves. You can hear the pressure coming out of this one as I turn this, and you can hear it stop as I turn it back closed. However, moving to this one, just make sure that my valve is open here. So it's all the way open, and spinning this should open and we get some pressure out of that A port, but it's not doing anything at all, spinning it either way. So I believe some of that Loctite that was used on the flares actually got into the EV and has locked up the piston inside there. So, all right.
Thanks, Daniel.
You're welcome. You can tell that was home recorded. We didn't have our wonderful help.
How'd you get back so fast, Daniel? Not that there's anything wrong with Loctite. It's just that's not what's used on the flares.
On bolts.
Yeah, on bolts. Yeah, absolutely.
And if you use red Loctite on head bolts on an engine, somebody's going to be really mad at you one day.
Just use it on your ex's car.
That's right.
I thought red was for engines.
No, blue is for head bolts. Red's for anything that you really don't want to ever be serviced.
making gaskets.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that what you use it for? Gotcha. Yeah, I've got a story from a manufacturer I worked for quite a few years ago. It was making some like really strange noise, and of course they authorized a return of the unit. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with it and all that. And the place I worked, they'd send these mini splits back, and we, every now and then we'd run, we would hook up a bunch of them and all that, and write down what we found and all. And this one sounded like a gym whistle when it ran. And so I pump it all back down and all that, start cutting things apart, and I found the strainer, and inside the strainer is a little blue ball.
Oh, wow.
A little blue ball of Loctite, and it was rattling around in there like a gym whistle. It's got a little ball in it, and it absolutely just sounded like a whistle when it was running.
That'll do it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they may not have got warranty. I mean, they might have got something from their sales guy, but they didn't get warranty. I can tell you that. But all right, back to the YouTube videos on our Tech 90 top 3 error codes and quick fixes: E6, F0, and H5. I believe this is the same commenter as the other video. Indoor units are addressed automatically. Is there a dip switch to hard address the indoor unit without designated a master unit? Also, is the handheld remote a one-way or two-way communicating remote? In other words, does it provide room temp feedback periodically? If so, how often? Thank you. So we're going to go to the first one. Indoor units are addressed automatically.
Yes.
Is there a dip switch to hard address the indoor unit without designated a master unit? This is on the multi-zones?
I guess.
Okay.
Well, so there's never been a dip switch on any indoor units to address them. In the past, there used to be dip switches on the outdoor unit. Multi 24. I think AO, BO revision, and possibly CO revision back in the day. They had dip switches on those for whatever reason. If you wanted to set, priority.
I gotcha. Okay, so that was a priority. That's okay. All right. So on the handheld remote, is it a one-way or two-way communicating remote? In other words, does it provide room temp feedback periodically? I'll take a whack at that one. Almost all the remotes that we've ever had have been one-way, so they only transmit. And they only transmit using infrared. There was a remote with the Crown.
The Crown.
Yeah, with the Crown or U-Crown, depending on whatever brand you might be talking about.
It's Crown, okay? Predecessor of Sapphire.
yeah, right. Who puts U in front of anything? Now, it was a radio remote as well, so it wasn't just line of sight. Now, we do have iFeel function, which does provide some temperature information. I believe it's every 10 minutes, but it's still line of sight. And it doesn't mean that it necessarily has to be pointed direct, just like a TV remote. You might be able to point that at the ceiling and still change the TV. If you can hit a button on the remote and the unit beeps, it's going to receive that, wherever you're at in the iFeel. So that would, help to provide some adjustment to the room, like some room temperature feedback effectively.
Right.
But at that 10-minute mark, if the unit doesn't receive that, it goes back to operating like it was before. If you're like any of the units in my house, you're getting pressed a button every 5 minutes, it seems like, because you have other people that live in your house that can't leave it alone. So I have a we feel in my house. I don't have an I feel.
We feel.
We feel that we need to adjust this temperature at any time.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but I think that answers those questions. As far as when we're talking about the address on the unit, are we making a reference to like the service tool itself giving you an address for the units, or because they're hardwired on the circuits, right? So it's not like it's not like they're automatically addressed. Now on MultiPro and the GMV systems, they are also automatically addressed, and you do have to have a master unit for changeover. It doesn't allow you to change to opposite modes from the master unit. but you can change the master unit at any time. It's actually fairly simple to do that. Speaking of which, that goes into the next segment. We are talking about GMV. And recently, Steve, Greg, and Jesus were in our Atlanta lab, and they were discussing VRF systems. We've got a video to show that. Let's run that.
So we're down here in our Atlanta training lab, standing in front of our fully installed and commissioned GMV R32 Ultra unit. Here we have a 3 indoor unit setup where we have 2 air handlers and a wall-mounted unit tied back to a 3-ton unit. But keep in mind, this is not the only capacity that we offer in the GMV R32. We have a 3-ton, a 4-ton, and a 5-ton, and they're all capable of operating down to minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit.
We can also do this in a 1-to-1 situation or a 1 to up to 10 different units. Having the air handler, the high wall, don't forget we also have a slim duct and a ceiling cassette.
The GMV is really good for change outs, for new construction install, light commercial, even heavy commercial.
For more information, go to GREEcommercial.com or reach out to any of your GREE distributors. We're fully stocked and ready to help you.
And remember, at GREE or by your side.
I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, they make some great points. I know that every service truck that I've ever seen, it seems like has commercial and residential on that service truck.
Very true.
And it's always commercial first and residential second, no matter if they do mostly residential or not. If you want to get in commercial, GMV is a great way to get into commercial. I mean, you're already talking about something that, you know, a lot of people don't even want to bother with, honestly, you know, because they think stuff like that's too complicated. It is remarkably similar to a multi-pro system. Not difficult. We make it as easy as possible. We have a lot of videos and training classes that to describe how the application and how you apply it is 95% of the time the most important thing. It's going to be the application. It's not the installation. It's not any of those things. We're absolutely focused on simplifying application. And the most common application that we seem to that has increased a lot this year for the GMV systems has been in just 1-to-1 commercial split system applications. You know, 1 outdoor unit, 1 ducted unit. You know, I encourage you to get a price on that from your distributor or your rep, and take a look at that from a comparison standpoint. It can be very competitive, and it's far and away more efficient, better performance, and all that than what you would normally be getting for an application like that.
Yeah, and you know, don't just think of it as commercial. There's a lot of residential applications where the single zone 1-to-1 application with the multi-pro is
Right.
an excellent choice. You get a lot of benefits out of that.
Right. You know, it is our best performing unit we've got.
Yeah, it is. That's why I'm putting one in my house.
Yeah, I've got one in my house. One of these days, JD, you know, if we can get you on board.
Oh,
right.
he's no, JD's not into that. He's staying in an apartment.
No, I plan on getting out of here before long.
Okay, finally. So how many years
Yes.
has it been?
Oh, he's gonna get that
Too long.
He's
Too
gonna
many
use that.
years.
He's gonna use that GREE money and go buy a mansion, saving up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got 3 phase options for you, JD, since you might be looking at that. But do we have any questions that have come in?
Yeah, let me check real quick.
We have a few here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you want
one
to go
from-
with them, JD?
Yeah, I can read them off here. Let's see. So, see, Joe was wondering, wouldn't a larger line set hinder oil return? Yes, it definitely would hinder oil return. The unit could go into oil return more frequently. It does have an oil return feature. You know, it sounds like it takes 4 to 5 minutes. It sounds like it's going in defrost, but of course the reversing valve doesn't switch. But, you know, yes, so it definitely would hinder that and probably go into it more often.
I think just to add a little bit there, JD, not just the line set alone, but also in the past, since we've introduced the FLEXX unitary product, airflow will cause a bunch of oil returns too and affect oil return.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
running at a artificially low speed for extended periods of time will cause it to run an oil return more often. So if I'm providing less capacity downstream than I normally would need to, I'm going to run an oil return more often. I mean, although they are absolutely capable of some of the lowest turn down ratios, although they are capable, many of these systems are capable of dramatically low turn down ratios as compared to pretty much anything else out there. I mean, that's not really how systems are designed to run at their minimum capacity at all times. So you still do have minimum run times. You still have oil return function. But at the same time, if you're talking about a relatively short line set and you were talking about something capable of 131 feet, how much it'll affect oil return is likely to be negligible. We got any more questions?
Yeah, a couple more here.
yeah.
Someone asked, can I install a 5-ton FLEXX with an existing 1.1/8" gas line? We did kind of talk about that earlier, but I mean, ideally you want to run a new line set with the proper size.
Inch and 1/8. That'll put you out.
Yeah.
That's way out of the parameter. It's
Yeah.
nowhere close to 3/4.
You'll be going into oil return, all kinds of good stuff, but so ideally, no. We don't even have a charging chart for that. All right, next question. How dependable are the GREE's EEVs? So
They never break.
No, go for it, JD. You deal with this on the daily.
yeah, I would say, yeah, I do take calls on, on people thinking the EEV is bad on a daily basis. Most of the time it is not. Most of the time it might be a sensor or, or they do have screens that protect them on each side, depending on the flow of refrigerant. There's strainers in there that protect anything from getting inside of it. So sometimes it might be a strainer blocked up if they didn't braze with nitrogen, or like we were talking about, if they used True Blue or something on that on the flares, getting caught up in there, or just a sensor being off would be the main cause that I see those to not modulate properly. It's not not most of the time the EEV itself.
If any of you guys spend time on the internet long enough, you'll see that the running joke is that it's always the TXV. Same thing. It's a lot of people will hop to it must be the metering device. Well, there's information that the metering device gets fed, right? And that's sensors, that's refrigerant flow, it's airflow, it's things like that. It's not this thing. If this thing were to open up more, I would have more refrigerant flow. Therefore, it must be the thing that's not opening up more. Okay, well, what makes it open more?
Right.
Like what makes that valve open more? It's like saying my gauges are broke. I can't add any refrigerant, but you're not using your hand to turn it.
No, you're exactly right. Yeah, you're exactly right.
But no, we really don't see that many failures of really anything. So I mean, EVs are not likely to be the cause of your issue. Now you like you said, and this is something that we've talked about many, many times before, but the nitrogen while brazing, that black stuff, the cupric oxide that builds up from brazing without nitrogen can only be caught by the most specialized of strainers, and its chances are not going to be on your truck in the form of a filter dryer. I mean, it's just those screens are the same mesh that we have, or at least typically found. They're the same mesh that we have on all the strainers that we have, and most of the equipment that we're talking about, you're talking about somewhere around the neighborhood 6, 7, 8 strainers in the system. So adding another one, has a negligible effect at best. That's why we always talk about. It's not really a point to adding it, and the risk doesn't outweigh the reward.
I really enjoyed that conversation back and forth with all of the tech team, and I believe you were involved, and we were trying to decide, hey, do we recommend a filter dryer when we first started selling the FLEXX? And, looking at what the different manufacturers say and the mesh size and the protections that are already built into the system, and coming to the conclusion that, it's really not necessary. In fact, it could add additional problems in the future as long as you pull a good vacuum and make sure that you've done your due diligence in that portion of it. then it's not necessary.
Right. Yeah. The one of the screens on the well, in the one of the marketing documents for a very popular filter dryer, the reference that it made, there was a safety screen for when the desiccant breaks down, when the
If.
desiccant block fails. Like when? It's not even if. So like eventually it's just gonna what? Just fall apart and rattle
Yep.
around in there and stuff. And the thing is, you do have a risk of those particles being small enough to be able to get distributed as well. If it can make it through the screen, if it can make it through the mesh, then now that's being distributed as well. I mean, at the very least, you're stopping up strainers, you're stopping up stuff, and then it's like you're telling us over the phone, you're saying, hey, it sounds like a kink in your line set. I know it's not kinked. I ran it myself. Yeah, I've never kinked line set before. Anyway,
Me either, ever.
never. I mean, like, we've done all of the stupid things too. So, it happens. Anyway.
Yep. Two more questions here.
Sure.
See what happens. This is on a GMB. What happens at -22 with the R32 unit? Does it shut off?
No. In fact, we have nothing that does shut off. I mean, it's among the equipment that we have actively available. No, the system does not shut off. That is the lowest temperature that the AHRI certified lab is capable of handling. So -22 is it. It's not pre-programmed to shut off. And in practice, we've never seen anything actually just shut off when it gets too cold. We've seen the systems. I've seen the systems with my own eyes run below -30, which is, I think, ridiculous. But
Right.
people still live in those places. Hopefully there's like oil or something that you're trying to get. But no, they don't shut off. They just continue to derate. And but our charts will show you down to -22, and you can do some interpolation from there if you'd like. But they don't shut off.
Yeah, same thing on the other end. There is no hard shut off. The only thing that you could run into is some other type of error code that could, put a protection on it, like an E1 if it's too hot outside or something like that. So, it's chances are if it's running way below, there could come along an error code at some point, -100 or something. Who knows?
Right. Yeah, we
Right.
run into the same thing too on cold climate cooling. On low ambient cooling.
Yeah.
Same thing. We don't have a pre-programmed lockout. What we have seen once it does get far below like the published temperatures is that the system will start trying to run in freeze protection.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't prevent it from operating. It just lowers the amount of cooling that might be available for a certain, for a small period of time. So oftentimes, and this is what we've seen, just feedback from the field, even during those times, it's not enough for it to throw off, like the server room gets too hot or anything like that, because by and large, almost every server room is grossly oversized to begin with. I mean, they say they're going to put more server racks in there, but they never.
And then they never do.
Yeah. I mean, I used to work for a data cooling manufacturer too. There was nothing ever like at max. It was always like double or triple the amount of cooling available for them.
Just in case.
Yeah. I'm glad I got out of that, because server room started being like 85 as a design temp, and that sucked.
Oh,
Yeah. I was like, I can't even cool off at work anymore. This is terrible. I don't want to do that.
you have to get in the truck to cool off.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. This is too much like residential again. I don't want to, but anyway, any more questions then?
Yep. One more. It's from Andy. Is the dual fuel FLEXX R32 coil available? If not, when?
It is available now. In
Yes.
stock, ready to roll.
In
Yes.
stores now.
Your order's in.
Get your orders in.
They might be
That's
gone December 31st.
Yeah.
No, I'm
The
just
other residential sales team's running a sale, right? I'm just joking. But no, they are in stock right now. We have that in 2, 3, 4, and 5 tons.
Yep.
That's right.
Right on. Okay.
That's all the questions we have for right now.
All right. Does that come with an A2L sensor?
It does.
Yes.
Isn't that required?
Yep.
It is.
So that answers your question. Is it required? Yes, and it does. All right.
We did have one more.
Okay.
Pop up. You want to get that one real quick, JD?
Oh, let me refresh here. Mine's maybe not.
I can read it. On the GREE systems, Joe's asking, on the GREE systems, are there parameters that can be checked for charging or recharging, such as subcool or superheat? Yeah, technically, yeah, you can use your delta T and pretty much get it spot on. But the absolute best way to charge, recharge is always going to be weigh it out. Write that down after you weigh it out, so you'll know where you started at, and then weigh it in.
Yeah, measure your line set, weigh it in, look at the submittal. They give you what's needed.
Right.
And just in case you're not aware of it, there is a quick start guide on the website for the FLEXX systems. Tells you all about the dip switches, how to wire it, and also gives you some other pointers as well. So,
And
and even,
might I add, it is the best quick start guide that we've ever made.
yeah, it even does the math for you and calculates your charge
Yeah,
for
there you go.
X amount of line. You don't have to even get out your calculator.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
yeah.
Don't know who
I
that
wonder
was.
I wonder who came up with that idea that
Yeah.
I copied.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a
I
toughie.
mean, it is rounding up to the nearest ounce. So if you want to get it more accurately, you can get it down to like the 12.2 ounces. I don't know how you're going to figure that out with your 8-foot long hoses or whatever, but you know, it is really great. And the reason why the quick start guides get made is honestly it kind of started out with cheat sheets and stuff like that we had on our end. Doing tech support or making sales calls and stuff. People asking very common questions. It's like, hey, instead of having it somewhere on my computer, what if we get all this information together, take these things that are different, that kind of thing, maybe just make a quick start guide, like some kind of quick document that you might be able to look at and go, hey, what's different about this system versus other systems? Instead of, pouring through the manual and, reading through all kinds of warnings like don't install it upside down or underwater or whatever.
Don't let your 4-year-old operate it or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Right.
don't let, unless you're a family run business and then have at it, but always put them kids on the job. That's the way to do it.
That's right.
We do have an internal question that came through, and it was let's see, we should speak on the coil not being able to be installed in the return ever.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's a good
you
one.
should never install the A-coil on the return side of the furnace.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it could create all kinds of issues. Even rust that furnace out.
That's pretty
Yep.
creative because I honestly would have never thought to install it on the return side.
Well,
Yeah.
just
Typically
so that
not
you
how
know,
it is. Yeah.
many apparently AI thinks it's a good idea because I've seen a number of AI photos that show
wow.
it here inside.
Okay.
I mean,
So-
do it provide heat? Yes, it do, but it's not something you'll have for a long time. But last but not least, unless we have more questions.
No, all done.
Okay.
All
Well, this
caught
might
up.
be this year, this might be my favorite segment coming up. And it is the results of our Draw Me contest. All right, so we're going to bring those up on the screen and we're going to go through each one of those. And if you can't guess who it is, then it's not good enough, right? Let me know. Is that on the screen right now? Look at there. Oh man, what an attractive man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
That's JD, right?
Yeah, yeah. All this scruff right here, that's what you see.
That's
That's
somehow like accurate but inaccurate at the same time. I don't really get it. It's not like looking at a picture of you, but it's oddly close.
I see it. I see it.
I can see if you put some pounds on, you might start looking like that. You look like you look kind of like a defensive line coach at a local
That's how
high
I look after Thanksgiving. Day after.
That's right.
All right, now that's really good. Why don't we just take notes on which one's our favorite? Remember, this is for a free service tool of your choice. All right, what is the? Let me go ahead and pull up the next one. Okay. I like the attention to detail and putting the GREE logo on there.
That
That's
is
pretty
really
cool.
good, actually. That's a great looking GREE unit.
I like the fact that both me and Daniel are as slim as we ever have been. And I am saying, remember, Daniel, if the heart isn't working, replace the brain.
Makes
Feel like
perfect sense to me.
might be a misquote or an interpretation of what I may have
An
said.
interpretation of a quote. I think maybe he was referring to board unit, right? So
Probably, yeah.
yeah.
Board unit.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, it's going to the doctor. Like I'm glad the doctor doesn't go, oh, the guy's got a bad heart or whatever. Let's replace his brain every single time.
Let's throw a board at it. Let's throw a board at it. That'll
Right.
fix it.
Right, which does also make it difficult to determine failure rates. So like when people have questions like how reliable are your EEVs, really hard to make that determination sometimes, if people are just ordering parts and throwing parts at things,
Yeah, true. That's a good point. Kind of skews the numbers a little bit.
Yeah, so that's really good. Draw me finalist B. Okay. Let's see. Do we have another one? Those are our finalists.
Who are we picking?
Okay. Well, that's our finalists, A and B, right there. Awesome. Okay. Well, we'll be reaching out to you. These were submitted, and we'll let you know, and you'll have your choice of service tool, whether that is a GMV service tool or a multi-single zone service tool, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's a great idea. Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest. As far as my vote, I got to go with A.
I go with A.
Well, I was going to vote B, so y'all.
Hey, studio, what's your vote? You get a vote.
The man out in the wild who got bit by the crawdad.
Okay, okay. Studio votes A. All right, so A's got it. So congratulations to the artist that drew A. All right. I don't know if I'll ever take this chance again. I expected so much worse. But all right, congratulations to the person who submitted A. Okay. Well, last but not least, do we have any more questions or comments? It's the question mark icon to the right of the screen.
We had an internal vote here for A as well.
Who?
So what's that?
Who was it?
Greg.
Oh, Greg. Okay.
No, he voted A.
Greg voted A.
Is there
find out what he's up to if he's watching the episode?
Let's see.
There was another question here.
Yeah.
From Lazaro. Is there a rule is there a rule of thumb to line set sizes? Yeah, there is. I guess he's asking, is there just a rule of thumb as far as line set sizes go? Yeah, follow the manual.
Look at the submittal.
Yeah. Just double check the submittal and make sure that matches what you got on the unit.
I mean, I would say rule of thumb across the entire industry, 3/8 is 3/8. 3/4. Sometimes that could look like 7/8 if you catch my drift, right? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. But no, like I said earlier, I think that where we have seen it is likely going to be on the longest of line sets too, right?
Yeah.
Lots of elbows, lots of turns, lots of everything, that kind of thing. Unfortunately, I can say on the VRF side of things, we've seen quite a few wrong line set sizes and say, hey, you better change that out.
Right.
They didn't. So and they're still trucking along. I'm not saying go do that.
Yeah, please don't go do that.
Yeah, that just causes Greg more problems.
Yes.
So
right.
Nah, don't do it.
And another rule of thumb on a multi-zone residential, the indoor head determines the line size.
That's a good point, JD. And just so to clear that up, any indoor on the residential line is going to determine the line set size. So, we have a lot of single zone matches now with the all match line. So that's what the, cassette, your console, etc., that you can put with a single zone Vireo, for instance, or a Sapphire, and you can do a single zone application, that still follows that same multi rule. In that indoor always trumps whatever the outdoor would be. So
Okay, so we do have. I mean, we do have reducers for that. Are those reducers?
Yes.
Are they included with the? No, they're not included with the single zone units, right?
the
So
single zone, you have to order them separately.
I got you. Okay, so only with the multi zones. I mean, we got part numbers on those reducers, right?
Yes,
Yes.
listed on the website.
Are they able to reduce it down in the field without using a reducer?
Well,
I
don't see
am
why
asking the
not.
hard hitting questions. Okay.
Okay. So if I'm out in the field and I need a reducer, guess where I'm going to? My scrap copper bin. I'll have a reducer by the time I'm done with it. But
Right.
I'll also flow nitrogen.
That's
I don't know
was
how to
just
take copper from a 1/2 inch to a 3/8. I gotcha. But yeah, flow and nitrogen is key. The reducers definitely help. They can save time.
Oh yeah, most certainly.
Absolutely is a time saver on multi-zone, since you might have up to 5 or whatever, right? So,
And it comes with it. So multi-zone, you're good to go.
right.
So Lazaro just wanted clarification. So he says, so the unit determines the size better set. So yes, the indoor unit determines the line size,
Yes.
to clear it up.
Yep.
That's also generally the case in VRF and multi-pro as well.
Okay.
Now there's other line sets upstream. But I mean, it's a capacity thing. That's really all it boils down to. You've got a larger volume coil.
You gotta
be able to deliver a larger
feed
volume.
it with more refrigerant.
Yeah. And I mean, we have been asked before. It's like, well, but what about it pinching down right there at the? You're talking about a very small amount, right? A very short section of it, and obviously, it's been designed with that in mind.
Yep.
Um,
All right.
All right. That's all the
this could
questions.
be one of the shortest episodes we've ever had. So this will be the crew from now on. Okay. Well, hey, it is the end of the year. We got holidays coming up. Whether you celebrate them or not, they're still coming. So a lot of you will be working after hours and making double money, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Not a bit.
Some of us will be open and making the exact same amount. All this GREE money. But I mean, it's been an eventful year. Definitely has. It seemed to go fast for me anyway. I don't know about you guys, but
It flew by.
It did. It flew by. Yeah, I woke up one day and it was cold. I'm like, what happened? But so I just want to wish you guys happy holidays and have a happy new year. And we will see you on our next episode of Talking Comfort Live in 2026, and that big future year of 2026.
Oh yeah,
flying cars and all that.
I got plans for 2026.
First Wednesday, but January 7th. January 7th will be our next episode of Talking Comfort Live, and we're going to preview what we've got coming at next year's AHR Expo in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Excellent.
Yep.
Looking forward to that one.
If you're going to go out there, stop by the GREE booth. It's massive. It's hard to miss. I'll be there. And tired.
I'll be there.
Yeah, with swollen ankles. Standing too long. All right. Again, happy holidays. Happy New Year. And remember, at GREE,
we're by your side.
We're by your side.
Please like or subscribe to our channel at GREE Comfort on YouTube and head over to greecomfort.com/training for more tips and tricks and all the information you need to help you out in the field. And that was a good show.